Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stump back from the OPTC video, and in today's video is day one of the grandest party of them all. Special edition. I have no idea what season it is. It's like season 24, 25, probably like 26, maybe 28. I don't know. Like you guys are seeing the title, what season it is. But in today's video, we are utilizing the new Aames and Whitebeard. Now, I'm a little bit late to the party, and these fights are pre-recorded. Yesterday was just a chaotic day. I was doing stuff for Christmas with my partner's family, so I didn't really get a chance to sit down and actually talk whilst recording. So I thought I would just do the recording, do the runs, and then I'll sort of sit down today and get that done, because I do really want to talk about this particular character, as these new characters in Grand Party seem very, very interesting, and they kind of have very good GP bursts, which gives us a bit more options when it comes to Grand Party. We've seen them do some funky stuff with the rule set where they reduce like burst charges of, say, int characters, so then like int gear 5 doesn't work. This season they actually reduce it by 1, so if you do fight a int gear 5, you aren't going to be in too much strife because they're only going to have 1 burst at their disposal. However, this new gear 5 Luffy has 3 bursts, which is very scary because his burst is very, very good. And if you have 3 of them compared to having 2 of them, it would just make this character like so disgustingly busted. Honestly, like, the new Luffy's a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion, from what I read on paper, but I'll talk about that once we do his particular video. Having 3 bursts, though, is just absolutely nuts. But Whitebeard and Aames are also buffed this season with an 80% reduction if the name is, I think, Aames as a leader. And then with that 80% reduction, it means you literally only need to lose 2 units, and then you get their burst charge. They only can use their burst twice, but normally you would have to lose 6 units before you can actually get their burst ability, which is actually a lot, because if you like lose an entire team, you then don't really want to use your burst when you're only rocking 2 units, and then if you don't use your burst, then you have to take it into the next game, use it very, very early next game, and then if you win that fight and you don't get like any knockouts, then you kind of don't have the burst ready for the final stage. So it's kind of weird. They're kind of a bit of a wonky unit, and as you can see there, we actually got punished by a free spirit team, which is just very, very good this particular season. The Luffy burst as well obviously makes it very, very strong, so you have to be very careful there. I usually put my int team wherever I see the Luffy fighter, the int Luffy, as it's most likely going to be a free spirit team. I've seen a lot of strength teams that are using the new Luffy because free spirit can be in such a scary place with int gear 5 running around, but unfortunately, like, our int team just sort of bit the dust there, which is a little bit of a shame. I actually used one of the burst abilities too to try and salvage the fight, but unfortunately, it just wasn't what it was. But the upside to running Whitebeard and Aames is we have access to this powerhouse team. This powerhouse team is incredibly strong. Aames and Whitebeard buff quick, driven, powerhouse, and fighter characters with their GP leader skill, which is very, very good. Quick team gets disgustingly large buffs, so we're running them last on this particular build. They get buffs from the quick typing, they get buffs from the powerhouse typing, and then they get buffs from the driven part of the passive. So like you're getting so many buffs with the quick driven powerhouse characters. So that team works exceptionally well. It moves very, very fast, and if you combine that with a burst, like, that team is pretty much unstoppable. The burst ability, though, will do 70% HP cut to every single enemy, which is absolutely massive. You then do 100% chance to halve stats, provided you have, like, I think 5 powerhouse characters. I think that's in their passive. You do 100% chance to halve stats, and then they do like 5 times their attack to 3 enemies. This is basically just going to kill a bunch of characters, guaranteed, like, every single time, provided they don't have shields and stuff like that. So their burst is very strong, probably one of the best bursts in the game. The only downside to their burst is actually getting it. This season, obviously, it's very easy to get, but in every season moving forward, it's going to be very challenging to see 6 deaths, unless you're using something like the Free Spirit team and using that new Luffy and Zoro, where you can, like, have them die literally like 4 times, and then you lose 2 other characters and you still have an actual lineup to actually take down the rest of the opposition. So I don't know what I was thinking with Orochi on this team. I think I changed this team to use stuff like Pell and whatnot as well, but we managed to get the win here, which was very nice. And the enemy has used 2 of their burst abilities as well. I think he used his burst ability on this particular fight. I wasn't actually looking at the game, but this team can actually tank a burst fairly nicely and do some pretty cool stuff. So we get the win there. So now we're tied up at 1-1. We still have a burst, the enemy still has a burst, and ideally, look, I probably wouldn't fight strength gear 5 this season. The upside to this special season, though, too, is like you get infinite retries, you get infinite infinite refreshes, so you can just find teams that you know you can beat, or you can find teams that are going to be a little bit easier up your alley. So that's also something fun too. But on the final fight, we are going up against Strength. The upside to Whitebeard and Ace is if you can see what you're going up against, you can obviously position your quick team in front of a Strength team. If you are fighting the new Gear 5 Luffy, there's going to be a Strength team somewhere. But it's kind of a gamble when, like, later in the lineups, when you can't see the enemy's teams, and you just kind of like, okay, well, I see the Strength Gear 5 leader in a team. That's either going to be Free Spirit or it's going to be Strength. And you can take the gamble and just throw Quick there. Quick definitely works. But if that Free Spirit team's first, this Quick team kind of wants the burst behind them, so that way they can do some crazy things. The burst ability, doing the 70% HP card, just puts the team in a range that Magellan and Blackbeard just go absolutely crazy, and they can just easily take out the enemy team. So, Whitebeard and Ace they're an interesting character. They're just a very, very interesting character. But look, they do bring a lot of fun and a lot of freshness to the team, to the Grand Party game mode. And they were a lot of fun to actually use. Now this guy's using waifus on Strength team. I don't know why anyone would use waifus on the Strength team. Like, you're just banking on RNG to get wins, and then you're making it harder for everyone else to beat you. So I just don't see the point of running a character like that unless you just want to be toxic. But hey, look, much of a muchness, right? So there's our first win. Again, when I was running this, I was not super impressed with this particular win, mainly because like that Free Spirit team in the front just like decimated my in team. So I was like, that's kind of weird, man. I don't really know how that goes. So thought we'd run it back, versing another Strength Gear 5. See how we go. I always like to run these fights as well with the idea that I don't know what I'm fighting. And you guys will see that in the last fight, I actually lose twice to the same guy. And I was just kind of like mind boggled how my int team and my powerhouse team went down to like this weird ass wonky Strength team that again used the waifus. Don't know why people are using waifus. And look, I could have easily just thrown Quick there, but I wanted to sort of like really give a showing to how Whitebeard and Ace is when you kind of can't see what you're going up against and how you would rock it later into the lineups with the 15 wins. And I guess we could sort of do some testing actually later because it's like we have infinite retries, right? So on the last day we could just do some testing and just fight teams that we can't see. That could be kind of interesting as well. But I decided to throw the powerhouse team up front. This team's actually going to be really, really good for trying to build up the burst, because you have Big Mom Katakuri who can revive, so that's going to work well. And then you have the death mechanic of Whitebeard and Ace. Not that that triggers an extra charge, but it's going to be a really good team up front that where units die, it's not going to be super detrimental to your team, and when your units die, it actually just charges your burst. So that's going to be really, really good too. So taking on an int team here, Yamato went and just absolutely decimated our Blackbeard. Once the Luffy burst goes off, man, like it can just do so much damage. The upside to our team is we have a lot of HP, like a lot of HP. So that burst doesn't actually take any of our characters out, where something like the int Gear 5 burst probably would. And that's sort of the drawback to this particular character compared to something like that int Gear 5 leader. I'm going to skip this match. Unfortunately, we didn't lose anyone. I think we lost Ace Whitebeard, but they technically didn't die, as you can see there. So it doesn't actually give a charge, and that's probably the big drawback to this particular team, is when they actually die and you win the fight, you're not actually going to get the GP burst charge. So that's a bit of a downside to the character, but look, you have to put them somewhere, and Powerhouse is like the only place you can put them. So we ended up having another Strength team in the middle. This was actually exactly how I would have run it anyway, mainly because of my quick team. I would want to have a burst ready and not be like shoehorned into the fact that the third fight I don't have one. However, like I didn't lose any characters in the first fight, so I lost one. So this particular team was like, okay, well, you don't have a burst, but it ended up being a Strength team anyway, so that actually worked out quite well. Strength this season is actually ridiculously strong. I've been getting sort of like blindsided by a lot of Strength teams. They have a lot of CD reduction. Obviously, under this new Luffy, you get the fighter buffs, you get the strength buffs. So you get some pretty nice stuff going on for strength. And they've been doing wondrous things in my Gear 5 strength testing. Let's see how we go here. We're going to take another burst. 2 bursts from Luffy is pretty crazy. Okay, now that Smoothie dies, we can actually throw our burst back at him, which kind of worked out in our favor. Because now we can just lower stats. We can take out units, which reduces passives. And now Luffy's just in a position now where that Tesoro shot should kill him. Bench is going to come in with Santa Sonia and Marigolds. Also, in a real Grand Party season, we wouldn't have to deal with 3 bursts. So, get the W there. Nice stuff. Let's move on to the final fight. Alright, so the final fight is against this particular Gear 5 build. And like I said, this one actually rolled me the first time I tried to fight it. The second fight, though, I got very unlucky. And it was a 1v1. So, like, I take the L there. And then, even in this particular, like, video you're about to watch now, I got very, very lucky in the second fight, which was kind of crazy. So, you guys will see how it goes. But first of all, we came up against a strength team, and they have Luffy in the lineup. This is where the strength Luffy, the Gear 5, can be really good on a strength team. Like, he can be disgustingly good. I still think the Anniversary Luffy's better, and if you want to get the most out of it and you have both of them, like, you just run Anniversary Luffy on Strength, and then you run this Luffy on Free Spirit. That's, like, probably going to be the best wave. But if you don't want to run a Free Spirit team at all, because of stuff like in Gear 5, you can literally just say, okay, stuff it, I'll throw the new Gear 5 onto a Strength team, and then build out with the rest of what I have available to me. Sai gets buffed under them, under him, Strength gets buffed, and then you have, like, Powerhouse being monstrosities, Dex being very, very good, Quick being even up there as well. So you can do some fun stuff that way, but the way I sort of play with him, I think Free Spirit is so damn good, and if you put them in the right spots, you're gonna be absolutely fine. However, this guy was just working wonders without running a Free Spirit team, which was very, very scary. Jack's exceptional for this Gear 5 because he obviously does a massive HP cut, gets you low enough so when you use the burst, it's going to basically take out a bunch of our characters. As you can see, like, we just got absolutely wiped super quickly, super fast, and super early. We got our burst ready to go, but I feel like with Whitebeard and Ace, the best way to play them is to just run the first team as like a really strong team, and then have it as a sacrificial team. Again, running waifus, man, on a strength team, it's one of the most cringe things in the entire world. Like, it's just like, why? What benefit are you getting running waifus on your team compared to just like the ability to just cock up people in our regular season? So Jack just puts us in such a scary spot for that Luffy burst. And look, they're still on 8 units. Like, they have, like, barely been touched. Luffy might have died once, but, like, other than that, like, they're just not dying. They have so much defense at this point, too, because Jack has so much CD reduction. I can't get my specials off because they've got so much speed. It's absolutely wild. And plus, they don't even have, like, full synergy, too, because, like, the waifus are buffing strikers. So, that's super strange. Super strange that this team just went absolutely crazy, and it not only did it once, it did it twice. So super weird. I didn't even take a burst, and they went crazy. Like, well, I took a burst now, but like, at this point the fight was already gone. So we had that auto proc wipe it off, and then basically we just lose. So very, very strange things. I don't know why and how, like, this strength team just went absolutely nuts. Like, Luffy obviously does a lot of damage, so you gotta be careful of that. And then it was basically over before I knew it. So at this point, this is where I kind of came to the realization that Whitebeard and Ace is probably best if you have a sacrificial team at the front. That way you're always going to get the burst by the second fight. However, I was pretty confident going into a Psy fight, an old school Psy fight, by the way. Like, this is an old school Psy Free Spirit team. I was pretty confident going up against them, even though One Law was there, with Ints. Yet I still got to a point where we almost lost, which was just really, really strange. I don't know if it's just like the way that the Gear 5 buffs work for Free Spirit and Psy. It just, like, this team's so old. Like, this team is so ridiculously old, and it went absolutely crazy on me. I was genuinely blown away. And again, it not only did it once, but it did it twice. So the upside here is we actually got our burst off. You have to be careful using the burst, though, because as you can see, it just fully charged the Gear 5 burst, which can be a little bit of a problem, because then they just throw this back at you. And, like, when they throw it back at you, it does kind of crazy damage. That Smoothie on the bench, which just, like, rollback specials, took out Pudding. Like, the rollback on S-Hulk is a huge problem. And the upside to him running Psy is that Yamato is just not doing enough damage to take out the death hit. One of lost fixed damage just ended up killing my S-Hawk, and then like why they're running Fujitora on the bench is beyond me, but like it just worked so much in their favor to the point that we ended up in this situation right here. And that's all from their burst. And that was honestly on me because I used the burst way too quickly. But at this particular point, I was thinking like, well, I'm kind of stuffed, right? I'm probably going to lose. So if I don't use a burst here, then it's kind of over. Lucky for me though, Dory just went in time. I used the burst, as you can see there, but Dory killed the entire team. So I got very, very lucky with that one Dory shot hitting everyone. So I saved my burst moving into the final fight, and that way I could actually be in a better position to take this particular fight down. Now remember, in this last fight, like normally, Gear 5 would not have another burst. And the way that I've actually played this, I actually would have another burst because I lost 6 units in that last fight, I'm pretty sure, in the in-fight. I might have lost 5, so I would have been like 1 away from a burst. All that would need to happen is I lose 1 character here and I would have been absolutely fine. But as you can see, he's going to throw his burst out right away. And that's going to be very, very scary stuff. We're versing a powerhouse team that's like very like weird deck-centric / quick-centric with like Sanchuan Wolf and whatnot. So we end up having our burst, we end up throwing that out. And once we actually get our burst off against a team like this, it's kind of over. The amount of damage that you can do with Whitebeard and Ace is kind of crazy. And having the half stats and the 70% HP cut just helps out so much. Like so much. So once we're in this particular position, all we need to do is just let the timer run down and we're off to the races. So overall, like Whitebeard and Ace, they're okay. They're definitely up there as a very, very good Grand Party leader, but I don't think I'd have them in my like top 5 or anything like that, purely because of how wonky they are in the sense of trying to get their burst ability off when the season doesn't warrant the 80% reduction. So let me know what you guys think of Whitebeard and Ace. If you use them, let me know in the comment section below. Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Do you like the new Gear 5 Luffy better? Let me know down below. While you're down there, put the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's